Hey everyone, welcome to 7 Ways to Survive the Holidays. This is some content that we've assembled and put together here at Focus Church. We're just trying to help you because we know that families can be dysfunctional during the holidays. So we're putting the fun in dysfunction today. I have Ashlee Kasten. She is an author of a book, Lessons I Found in the Laundry Basket. You can get that wherever books are sold on Amazon. And then you could also go to her podcast. It's The Purpose of Motherhood.
Yeah.
And she specializes in giving moms tips and tricks on how to handle the stresses of life. 4 children of their own. Her husband is one of my very good friends, my hunting buddy, and he just so happens to be employed here at the church as our director of facilities, and I'm so grateful for them. Known them for a long time, and she contributed to some of the content that you're going to read and watch today. And we're talking about a wise tongue. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people, when they get around their family, the chitter chatter begins.
Yeah.
So give us an overview of what you predict is about to happen at the holidays around the Thanksgiving table or around the Christmas tree, and how we can combat some of those things.
Sure. Okay, so holidays 2020 is going to look totally different this year because we basically have a setup for a perfect disaster, right?
Yes.
There is so much negativity, so many controversies right now just surrounding us that it's very easy to go into these holidays around all these people that you haven't seen in a while and end up, in the cyclones of negativity, of gossip, of arguing. And so I think it's so important for us to really get our mindset right and our perspective right before going into that, and realizing that we can either carry with us a negative tongue that is piercing through, that is like destructive and like piercing through people's hearts, or we can carry what I talk about in the article, the balm of Gilead, which is really Jesus. Carrying him in and having the power to heal with our tongue and to bring restoration and bring hope.
Right.
So, with arguing this year with
There's a lot to argue about.
Anything in politics related.
Right.
There's always going to be someone that mentions something.
Right.
Always. And the Bible says to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry.
Yeah.
And that is the best advice that we can carry with us into these situations, because if we are truly quick to listen and slow to speak, that means we are not talking, not saying the things that our flesh desires to say.
Right.
Then we will avoid so many of these tumultuous conversations.
Right. Now, I know that 2020 has been full with different things to talk about. You could talk about the racial divide that's in the country. You could talk about how each state, each county, each school, each church handled the pandemic and the response to the crisis at hand. Then you have an election year, all on top of each other, kind of some of it interwoven into each other. How would I confront maybe a family member that I only see once, maybe twice a year? If it starts to get negative, maybe it starts going down that path, what's a way that I could comfortably either change the subject or kind of navigate someone through that? Let's say we're sitting down at the dinner table and someone says, blah, 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 not my president, either one of them, not my president. How would you help them navigate through that conversation?
Sure, that's a great question. So I always like to say, well, especially with negativity, gossip, whatever it is, the one thing that will end conversations like that so quickly is a positive direction. People, it's just like misery loves company, right? Gossip loves more gossip. Negativity loves more negativity.
Right. It's a snowball, right?
It is, yeah. And so really the only way to combat that is with the opposite. And so you can only say so much if you are continually, coming back and saying, I understand your perspective, but did you see what, this happened? If you keep doing that, eventually they're going to get so fed up with it, they're going to stop the conversation because that's not fun for them. They want you to get mad too. Or to come against them and start arguing with them, Right.
Yeah, the internet has perpetuated this immensely because now we see people's Facebooks that we haven't seen them in a long time, and look at so-and-so, she's got a new boyfriend or a new husband or another child or whatever. There's a lot of that. We have access to people's information now more than ever before, and that can really surface during the holidays.
Sure.
Are there any kind of social media best practices that someone could take to avoid negativity online during the holidays?
Just don't talk. Be quick to listen, slow to speak. Don't start typing, because you really are never going to get anything effectively communicated through just text alone.
Right,
So it's
right,
important
right.
to know that. Unless you are saying, hey, let's meet here this time,
Right,
just
right,
facts.
right.
Everything else needs to be a face-to-face
It's so hard to
conversation.
read people's tone.
It is,
It's
yeah.
so hard to read their demeanor or where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And so you're saying take as much offline as you can
Yeah.
in order to navigate through those conversations. That's so good. Now, when it comes to arguments, let's say arguments within immediate family, on your way to grandma's house, someone is angry because they're going to be late. They forgot a gift for the third cousin that just decided to show up. How do you handle disputes amongst family on your way to the holidays? Give us some practical advice on handling
Okay, so
arguments.
this is a Kasten tip right here from my husband and I's marriage.
Yes.
We have something called red flag, and whenever intense moments like that,
Yes.
and usually it is when we're running late because my husband's super punctual and I am super late all the time.
I can
And so
testify. I can testify. In my own household, we share the same sentiment.
Yes. Okay. So we have something called red flag because there's just certain things that you just tense moments where it's just always going to happen. And anytime you talk about anything in that moment, it's never going to be good.
Right.
And so that's our code word.
So if you're in the
red
middle of
flag.
a heated argument, we're gonna be late. Someone says red
flag.
and what's that do? That put the discussion on pause.
Yes. And you have to go pray. Now, whether or not you actually do,
Right.
that's another thing. But
So
that's our household rule.
Okay.
If you red flag, that means it's going in a very immature direction because that's always what happens.
Right. It never gets more mature.
Oh, no.
It progressively gets less mature for sure.
Yeah, your name calling and it's
Right. You're reminding things that have already been forgiven.
Oh, yeah.
You're surfacing.
Yeah.
You're taking the wrong road. That is so good. I hope you just caught that. They call each other out whenever it's headed into a direction that won't be beneficial for their marriage or for their family dynamics. They say red flag, and they have to go pray about it and think about what they just talked about.
Just like a child. But think about your actions.
Right.
Think about your
It's
words,
like time out
come
for
back.
a married couple.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
very, very helpful.
Yeah.
How about kids and they get tired late at night and you're sleeping in a different bed than they're used to sleeping in. Is there any tips for moms that might be taking their kids to grandma's house? What are some of the things that you're doing as a family to help them navigate through kind of sleeping in a new environment, being around people that they're not comfortable with? How do you do that?
Yeah, with a lot of grace. I mean, just knowing too that, it's just to be expected. They're eating differently too. They're full of sugar. And so what I always like to do with my kids is I like to look at whenever they're acting out, I think to myself, like, okay, is this something with them, like in their heart, or is this just an environmental, behavior issue?
Right.
Is it because they're going to bed late? Is it because they're eating sugar? Is it because all the different things that could affect them? Or did I not put them down for their nap today when I should have? And so if it's one of those, you just got to give them grace.
That's great.
They're little and they're still learning, and so give them grace for that. Now, obviously, if it's a heart issue, that's something completely different, and that's something that resurfaces again and again, like a bad attitude that's consistently there. That's something you want to address. But otherwise, I think we got to give each other a lot of grace, just all around.
So great. So we know how to navigate through tense conversations. We know when to use the red flag in our marriage, and we know to give grace to our children during this holiday season. Thank you so much for contributing to the content. If you're looking for more information, you can purchase Ashlee's book, Lessons I Found in the Laundry Basket, on Amazon. You can also check out her podcast, The Purpose of Motherhood. Thanks again for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you very soon.